Anthony, I'm curious, what do you think it takes to operate the #1 hotel in the United States, according to TripAdvisor?
Everything.
Yeah.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's a very thirsty Anthony Melchiori. I am a satisfied Glenn Hausman. It's great to see you, Anthony. I can't believe it's Thursday already. What's going on with this week?
In basically almost mid-August. That's why I have a beard and I have a casual attire on.
I love it.
And I was just like, you know what? Every meeting I have is basically today about my TV show. So I'm with my production company. So I don't need to shave if I don't want to.
I absolutely love it. And I feel sorry for all of you folks listening on our audio feed today because you don't get to see this incredible site. But of course, you could watch us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you like to watch those, videos.
You know what I did early this morning, Glenn?
I don't. Yeah.
I took a bike ride at 7:30 this morning out near the beach on the boardwalk, and I did a live on Instagram I've done maybe 5 in my whole life.
Right.
And you know what I find fascinating is Germany, Finland, Spain, Italy, all were talking to me. It's fantastic. You can literally think about that 10 years ago, where you can literally go live all over the world on your phone.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. And I want to thank the technology folks out there for making my career possible because of stuff.
But if you think about it, like back in the day, even when I started my show, my first show, 2012, you could not do anything without the networks, without it wasn't even streaming. Like you couldn't do anything. Now I can do a whole TV. Matter of fact, I did a live TV show from my cell phone. Remember?
Yep, I did.
Instant turnaround.
Yeah, that was great. It was 1 hour going into businesses, learning about them, and giving them solutions right on the spot. It was awesome.
Yeah, and people like that show. And we didn't really promote it or anything, and we still got a lot of views. So it's just fascinating that we take everything for granted. I remember, whether it be seatbelts or airbags or airplanes, or we just take things just start happening in our lives, and all of a sudden they become normal. Ask a kid to read a map. Yeah,
my kids can't. They don't even know where we are most of the time. But what are you going to do? Maybe one day we'll hit I-95 and drive all the way down to Savannah, Georgia, so we could visit the #1 hotel, according to TripAdvisor in the United States. We're talking about the Perry Lane Hotel, a luxury collection property. And we've got with us today Matthew Douzuk, who's the general manager over there. Welcome and congratulations on what an incredible honor for 2023. And might I add, Anthony, 24th in the entire world. How amazing is that?
Well, thank you so much.
I'm disappointed they're not #1 in the entire world. Get on it, will you?
That is our goal for next year, Anthony. So that is our goal. We keep pushing, and thank you so much.
I remember when we were striving to be #1 in New York City, and we were #2, and I was kind of celebrating with my team. Say, hey, congratulations, we're #2. And the kid I was mentoring, he looked at me and he goes, "Remember what you said to me when I first met you?" I go, "No, I don't." And he said, "You don't wake up in the morning and be #2." I was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, congratulations on #1. That's an insane achievement. And when Glenn said at the top of the show, "What does it take to do that?" I said everything. Yep. It's true.
Yeah, definitely. And our story is similar to yours in New York. We started out 6th in Savannah, and we wanted to get to top 3. And once we got to top 3, we're like, how are we going to get to #1 and maintain #1? And it just took commitment from the team. And I'm so incredibly proud of the team and excited to talk about.
What's your vision statement? What's your vision statement?
Be #1.
Okay, that's a good vision statement.
Yep.
That's a good vision statement. Yep. And so what do you find are the top 2 or 3 things that you do that other people don't do that makes you --
And Matthew, before you answer, let me answer. I have a feeling, based on what I saw in all the reviews, it's people, people, people. And that's where it starts and ends. But how do you see it?
Well, I know the answer.
You're making this easy on me here. No, but it is
Hey,
definitely.
you deserve it, man. You worked hard. At least you get 30 minutes of some chill time here. You know?
Exactly right. So it is all about our team. It is who we are. You all have heard that, you can build a beautiful hotel in any place. It's all about the heart of the hotel. And that's who we are here. The genuine, creating that comfort for our guests and really being individuals, right? Not scripted hospitality. We have moved away from that. We cater that towards each individual and what they're coming to Savannah and Perry Lane for, and we individualize that. We don't hire based on skill anymore, right? You used to be able to find front desk agents that have been front desk agents for 5 years. That doesn't exist anymore. We hire all on personality, right? And we can't teach that. So it's showing that genuine care and comfort and warmth and individualized service every single day. And that's the fun part of the job for our team.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So I think that's an important lesson for everybody to take away about how it is with the people. And Anthony, we talk about that time and time and time again, that you don't have to hire for specific skill sets. It's all about personality and the ability to have that inner spirit of hospitality, right?
I will challenge anyone to take the top 20 CEOs in the country, and I guarantee the degree and what they're doing for a living have nothing to do with each other. So what do you do? Because what I'm fascinated with is the interview process and the onboarding process, because as Glenn heard me say time and time again, people are too busy in human resources dealing with problem employees.
Yeah.
But they're not too, but when it comes to interviews, they're too busy because they're dealing with problem employees. What is your secret, or what is your, I hate the word secret, but what is your strategy to hiring best in class?
Yeah, so we put that on our department heads, right? So it's not the HR's responsibility now to find the best talent or recruit or hire, right? So the interview process starts with our team members, right? And our line level department heads. Then it goes from that interview, and it's really a personality test. Are they natural smilers? Do they smile? You can't teach someone to naturally smile, right? And it's really on that personality. And the department heads know their departments and what they're looking for. I could do all the interviews, but they are the experts in their department. So they know which individual is going to fit in their team and which individual is going to really drive that perfection. From there, we set expectations. The interview process should be setting expectations from the start, right? Because just like we're selecting them, they have to select to work for us. And that's super important to understand. It's just not a job, right? It's the expectations.
Do you meet your employees? Do you meet before they final hire? Do you meet everyone?
Yes. And that's also part of the onboarding experience too, right? So I individually meet with all the teams on the onboarding experience as well. So I'm part of the orientation from day one. And it's just really setting those expectations so they understand what they're getting into. And that's striving for excellence every day. And it's not for everyone, right?
So what happens when they interview somebody and they put it in front of that person in front of you, and you're like, and you just feel something is incorrect? What do you do?
So at first I have a meeting with that department head, and I ask them, how did the interview go? Tell me their strengths, weaknesses, and what would you need to focus on the most with them on the first 30 days, right? And if those are, I would need to make sure he's making more eye contact. I have to make sure that he's smiling more. Those are personality traits that we may not get there. But if you're saying to me, well, systems, we're going to need to train him on systems, but he's such a nice, or she's such a nice person and is genuine and has empathy in, when they speak to the guests, that is what we're looking for. I can teach anyone to use a PMS system or a micros or any type of system. So it's all about how you feel when you talk to that individual during the interview, because they should be at their best at that moment. So that's
Can you teach somebody to have a good disposition and keep smiling and keep a positive attitude? Can you teach that?
No.
Thank you. Sent him a gold medal.
Yes.
Oh my God! Because I'm going to keep my bad words to myself, but every person that I asked that question for said, yeah, some people I can do that. Thank you. You cannot get people out of bed in the morning and make them smile. They'll smile in front of you. They'll smile when somebody's giving them a tip. They'll smile when the guest is funny and easy to deal with, but they won't smile with the most difficult client.
No.
My daughter went the other day. She wanted to buy her own car.
Right.
So she went. She's a teacher in the Board of Education, and she's starting to feel starting to come into her adulthood. So we went out and we went into a car dealership, and she's like, "Dad, that's the car I want." So we're trying to do the deal. And again, she paid for it, and so we're trying to do the deal. And all of a sudden, this young lady salesperson saw me taking a picture with my daughter. And she literally jumped in front of the camera with the biggest smile. She had a dress on that had flowers on it, and she has this big smile. So I have this great smile with this young lady, and I don't even know who she is. But it just made me feel like she wanted me there.
Yes.
And it took nothing but a second of her time, and then she was gone. I don't know her name. No, I probably never see her again. But she just made me feel better.
You're exactly right. And it shows that you're genuine, right, in every interaction.
Right, you can't teach that. Nobody taught her that in training. Go photobomb somebody's picture. And I'm glad you said that, because that's what it comes down to. It's when you're not looking, are they going to be able to handle it? And I always admire the people in very stressful situations that almost don't see the stress, don't even see that they're being treated maybe not the way they should be treated. They almost look past it. I love those kind of people.
I agree.
Matthew, what do you think about this phrase that we've come to like on the show? Gentle, constant pressure. How do you see that in terms of your management philosophy?
I love that, right? So pressure needs to be there, right? That's how you build diamonds. And it's extremely important. And you want to keep striving every day. And that's part of goal setting, right? We have goals consistently throughout our year, right? We set the goal. We want to be number one in Savannah. Okay, we got Savannah. Now we want to be number one in Georgia. Okay, now we have Georgia. Then last year we were top 20 in the United States. Well, that's not good enough. We want to be the best. And we continue to push that. And our teams want that. High performing teams want to have goals and achieve those goals. Because if those goals don't exist, it's not going to happen. It's just like, and I talk about this a lot, is that, we have scoreboards all over the hotel, because no one would watch NFL, NBA, anything if there was no scoreboards. No one cares about the score. So we have to consistently be scoring ourselves and having that goal and knowing what those challenges are and how we can have success each and every day.
And to get there, I always say, if you take over a hotel that's not maybe performing up to its potential, going from, just for argument's sake, going from a 4 to a 7 is hard but easy. Meaning, with all the X's and O's, you get there. The only way you don't get there is you get in your own way. 8 to 9 is really hard. You have to get there with the best team. 9 to 10 is where you live. You never get to 10, but if you live around 9, you're always percolating at 9. What happens is you get the Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan philosophy, where people see you in the gym earlier. They see you taking more shots than everybody else. They see when you win all the gold rings, you're still taking all the shots. You're still sweating more than they are. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay, this is where we live. That constant soft pressure. We just live here, and that's normal. Now it becomes normal. So one of the things that I did to get to 8 to 9 and then kind of on is I take 2 or 3 things that no one else is doing in my market, no one else is doing probably in the world. And whether it be like at the Lucerne, we called every reservation. And I had 177 rooms that said it's impossible to call every reservation. I said, okay, it's not impossible. I said, we're going to call every reservation. And we did. We called every reservation to confirm. That way, it helped us and it helped the guests say, oh my God, I almost forgot. I have to cancel. Whatever it is. And then we followed up with the guests. And then we did something when they left. So there's always something that you have to do that no one else is doing, and you can get there. But you, as Maslow hierarchy of needs says, you have to meet their basic foundation, and then everything else is gravy. And the problem is no one wants to put the extra work in for the gravy.
You're exactly right. It's expected to have a clean room and be able to check in on time and have a great service in the restaurants, right? It's taking it to that next step and creating a story. We're very proud of the stories that we tell, and the storytelling starts right when you start and book your reservation. We send a letter from Adelaide, our muse, and that creates a spark of interest. What am I getting myself into when I come to Perry Lane Hotel? Who is this Adelaide? And then the front desk agent talks about Adelaide, and the bellman brings you up and shows you one of our 5,000 pieces of artwork and tells you that story, why Adelaide created that. And then it goes throughout the entire property. And that creates, engagement with the guests. It's just not just a place where you lay your head. It's really an experience that you're going to take away. Because, we talk to our teams, we're creating experiences. That is what we're doing. No one's going to really remember, how soft that pillow is in 2 years, but they're going to remember that experience that they had at Perry Lane in 2 years.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
yeah, Anthony.
I'm going to ask you a difficult question. In the hotel business, like we were just talking last week, it's like all of a sudden nobody wanted to be a nurse, and now all of a sudden everybody wants to be a nurse, right? The reason they want to be a nurse is because nurses pay now, right? Especially in New York. If you're a nurse, you can make a very good living.
UPS driver is up next on that one.
Why UPS drivers are making good money?
They just got a great new contract. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're making like six figures now, right?
Like up to 170 at the end of this.
What?
Yeah.
I'm going to look good in that uniform. But in the hotel business, people are saying, well, we have to do this, we have to do that. At the end of the day, you got to pay people. And so if you found yourself after COVID having to change your kind of philosophy or change your rate of pay.
You definitely have to, right? You have to look at all wages in your market or what's happening, right? When we have a gas station right down the road that's paying extremely high. Why would you come work at a experience that you're working as hard as you can, you're working on top of the game, but you're getting paid less? You can't have that. But you also have to look at the benefits that you're providing to the team members and the work experience, right? How do you celebrate those successes and become the best in your area that you're creating amazing? Like, so when we won number one, with TripAdvisor, we did this amazing luau party, right? And our ownership fully supported, and it was an amazing time. And that went throughout the city, that we created this amazing party for our teams, right? How do we celebrate, cookie day, ice cream day, all these special days of the week where human resources walks around with a cart, right? So you want to come to pay is important, right? But you're spending as much time as you can, more time with your family here than your family, right? So it's the environment that you're creating at your business a place.
But if you don't have good benefits, if you don't have good salary and good health care, you can give them all the ice cream they want. It doesn't matter. And that's exactly right. That's why. And also, one of the things by being number one on TripAdvisor, by being that level, it helps their resume. Because if they're ready to move to a different town or wherever, and I see that they worked at a hotel that was number one on TripAdvisor, that tells me something about that person. Just like if they were in the military or they went to college. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to be in the military. You don't have to work for a number one hotel. But all those things help because it tells me that you put in the work.
You're exactly right, Anthony. And that's one thing we really focus on. Yes, the resume is important, but internal growth, right? Yeah. How do we have that front desk agent or server move into a supervisor to a leader position? If we can keep them top performers in our property and not looking around to go somewhere else, that's how we continue to create amazing results for our guests and for our ownership as well. And that's one thing we focus on. If we have a position open, first we look inside ourselves and say, okay, is this person ready? Are you committed to groom them, mentor them? And if we have that commitment, we're going to do everything in our possible in our hands to keep them at our property.
Right, but you got to have other incentives too. And Daniel is asking, what type of incentives do you offer your associates to strive to be number one each year?
Well, I think one thing is creating pride in the property. That's an important incentive, right? If you don't want to be number one,
right,
then this might not be the best place.
Hold on, that's Anthony. Anthony, something's going on with your XLR cable. So anytime you move the microphone, it gets a little screwy. Go on, Matthew.
Yeah, so first thing is creating pride, right? Having that common goal in the property that everyone that's here every single day wants to be number one. We talk about it in our daily lineups in every department, that no one goes out on the floor without a lineup, and we talk about how we're going to be number one today. Then the incentives are there that we do a lot of incentives, monetary incentives on upselling from every department, right? From an honor bar attendant is on an incentive plan, right? So, if you, your goals for, we know honor bar is one of those departments that can get missed, right? Might not get into every checkout, right? And then there's all these issues. So we've incentivized all our departments on their jobs, right? To really focus on creating amazing results.
Let me ask you a question about incentives from an operational standpoint. If I have an incentive program and I meet my incentive, how long does it take me to get paid?
The next pay period.
Thank you. That is the number one problem with incentives. They don't get paid. for a month. They forget to get paid. Somebody
I
submits
agree.
paperwork. That is the number one problem with incentives. If you pay people immediately, then people will keep doing it. But you miss even 1 week and people are like, what the hell am I doing? Because people are looking for that extra $20 or $50 because that's the dinner they're going to go to on a Saturday night, or that's whatever, they're going to buy whatever for their kid. Like, but in our business, those incentives are pushed and pushed, and then they're not paid for, until whatever, at the end of the month. I hate that. At the end of the month, at the end of the quarter.
I agree.
So you're saying all the right words, man. I love you. It's like I say it all the time. I said to Glenn a million times on the show. The number of people ask me, what's the secret? There are no secrets. Bring pride back into the building.
It is. You want to brag that you work at your property. They want to go out. Where do you work? Perry Lane? Whoa, Perry Lane. They want to feel that pride when they're out telling their family, telling their, everyone in the local community all around the country. I know I'm proud. And
I still hear when people say, with everything I've done in my career, it's like, you worked at the Plaza? Wow. It's like, that was 30 years ago. We're still wowing about the Plaza, but they're still wowing about the Plaza.
And no one understands that feeling until you have that feeling. And that's important, right? So it's really from day one, from the interview process to orientation to 6 months into the job, we continue to push that mentality.
And Glenn knows, there's something happens to me physically. Like when I'm in a property that's a high level, like I get emotional, I get crazy, I get happy. It's because I love working at an extremely high level with a lot of consequence on the line and bringing people, usually when I take over property, it's going bankrupt. So I love that pressure more than I love almost anything. I mean, it's just, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like working with a team for a goal when there's tremendous pressure, knowing only this team can accomplish it.
And it's also important that the team challenges each other every single day, right? I want to be challenged by anyone in my property to do better, right? And we push ourselves to have that open dialogue from our GM roundtables that I have once a month. I want the feedback from my team to tell me what's going great, what isn't working. And it's not throwing anyone on the bus, and I'm not going to pull someone into my office after that. I want to fix it, and I want to be there for the team. And I want team members to feel that way, that they have that open dialogue that, hey, I see this happening, and we can be better than this. And it's still that culture of pride that brings that through.
That's awesome. So listen to this review. I mean, if I had this, I'd be so proud. Very pleased is the headline, but the first line is, it's a hotel that cares a lot about its guests. Perfect customer service, very friendly staff that wants to please you. And then it goes on with some of the amenities, but review after review after review, that's like the same thing over and over. So what does it mean then to make guests feel that way? How do you actually make them feel cared about? We talk a lot about good hospitality, it's a smile and all that, but how do you really make them feel cared and go home and say, you're not going to believe the people I met at the Perry Lane?
So, and I talk about this with my team a lot, is my definition of luxury is as soon as the guest gets out of their car, they never need to think again.
Love that.
Never. They never need to think again. So we take care of everything, and we push the guests, because a lot of guests are a little uncomfortable maybe sometimes, that we're going to take your luggage now. No, we're going to take your luggage and we're going to escort you.
That would be me. Because
right?
nobody, I take my own bags every day for 150 nights a year. So I'd be like, huh?
So you can't have transactional experiences anymore in luxury. It has to be individualized, personalized, right? And Savannah, we're lucky. The market that we have a mixture of leisure, families, business, weddings, right? So we have to create great experiences for all different demographics, right? And sometimes it's only one night. So how do you really get that? That's sitting down at our front desk, popping the champagne when they sit down, right? That pop in the lobby is just, it creates an experience for them. And they get to know, we use, guest name usage, we'll go back to basics, but that's still extremely important, using our name and their name.
So what happens if I have one little bag and I don't want you to take my luggage? You beat me in the head?
No, of course not. We'll escort you to the elevator just so you don't get lost. Okay. So it's all, and we have those guests, right? So now we know that guest does not want to have luggage service, but how can we engage them from the dining room experience? Did we confirm dinner reservations at front desk or in concierge service? And now do we know what time they're coming, and the host knows their name, and we know that something about them, right? And it's getting to know our guests and making sure that we have all their needs taken care of. If they request turn down service at 7:30, it's happening at 7:30. right? No earlier, no later. And how do we personalize that experience in every situation?
Anticipation should be, printed and tattooed on everybody's head. If you anticipate, I was just in a hotel in Vegas, and as I checked in, they go, would you like a late checkout tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, because I had a late flight. And they go, how late can I get? She goes, well, how late do you need it? So we'll have a red eye. She goes, will 6 o'clock be okay? I was like, yeah.
Oh my
Thank
God,
you.
that's amazing.
I was like, you're the greatest human being I've ever met in my entire life. Thank you.
And look that experience didn't really cost the property probably any money. And look who you're telling right now, everyone.
Right. And the secret is I could have called the GM because the GM is a good friend of mine, and I would have gotten a 6 o'clock checkout, but I didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I would have. That day I would have remembered, oh shit, I need a late checkout. And I would have called the GM, and the GM would have said, no problem. But I didn't have to do that. Like, they took care of that need for me.
And I talk about this in orientation, the words that make me cringe the most. And there's situations where you have to use this, let me get my manager. That makes me cringe when I hear someone say, let me get my manager, or I need to go talk to. I want the team to make those calls, right? You're in front of the guest, make it. If it's not the right call, let's talk about it. And how can we improve from that experience? But the team gets more engaged, more proud that they're creating those experiences without someone always second guessing them or creating that experience.
Listen, we both know from experience, and you and I speak the same language. How many times have you early in your career go to the front desk and you see a supervisor correct a front desk agent in front of a guest and take the pride away from the employee instead of giving them the ability to make a decision? And I always say, make a bad decision sometimes because you're going to make them. And when you make the bad decision, we're going to talk about, say, is there a better way of doing that? I remember I gave everyone carte blanche, right, at the front desk of, I think it was the Plaza, carte blanche. You can do anything you want. You can rebate anything. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, when there's adjustments come in the morning and I come in and there's a whatever adjustment, I may ask you, what happened? And then you explain to me. So no one ever took me up on it. Everybody would always give them a breakfast. So no one really went crazy. But this one time, a person adjusted, and this is back a long time ago, $1,200. So I get the adjustment.
$1,200 30 years ago is a lot of money.
Yeah. So I asked the employee, it was the Plaza, right? So I asked the employee, hey, what happened with that guest? And they were talking to me, and I was like, oh, okay, why did you do that? And he's like, because I didn't know what else to do, and I was scared, and the guest was angry. So I just took it off. And I said, no problem. Good job. I said, but next time, do you think you could have started with a dinner or a breakfast or a drink? And they go, probably. I was like, okay, so next time start there, but no harm, no foul. Don't worry about it, man. Good job. But internally, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But sometimes but that was a great learning experience for them. And I never backed off of that ever. If somebody would have came to me $5,000 adjustment, it's like that $5,000 is worth the lesson. Because the worst thing to do is have people second guessing themselves. There's nothing like I was talking before about my daughter getting a car. There was nothing in the world to see the pride in her face when she gave that money to, she had to put a deposit down, gave that money that was her money. And then she found out, even though we had a cosign because she's only 24. And I said, well, if we didn't have to do that for insurance, would she have been able to buy it by herself based on her credit? Because she's really building her credit. It was absolutely would have given her the car without that. And you see the pride in her face. Yeah. Early on, it's very important to make people feel that pride that they can do things on their own. And everything you're saying is that why you're number one, because I think we drink from the same water fountain.
And I'll touch on two things you just said, right? We have to practice. Right, you have to practice with your team. So role playing is super important in those situations when you have an upset guest. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of role playing. I'll be the upset guest, or the employee will be the upset guest, and we practice on conflict resolution. That's important. You have to practice these things. But also, issues are going to happen in a hotel in every environment. Right? It's how we fix those issues. Right? So if there are adjustments, we make sure that it's recorded. If I have the morning meeting and we have no defects from the day before, I'm like, what's going on, guys? I know there was a defect last night or during the day. And those aren't bad things. It's how you continuously improve and find out those defects and fix them and make sure they never happen again. And everyone needs to feel comfortable on saying that I may have messed up.
So Glenn, I'm going to ask you a question. So how do you handle when a guest needs a room change because there was a problem with the room? How do you handle room changes? Not meaning how you change the guest, but what do you do with that room? Tell me the process.
What do you do with the room?
No, not you. Not you. I'm not talking to you.
All right,
You're
good.
Yeah. So, there's some steps that I talk about. The first thing is you apologize. First thing out of your mouth is you apologize. I am so sorry, right? Then you find out why they're moving the room, right? What do they need? Is it noise, or is it location? Do they need to be around family members or anything like that? Because you have to listen to the guests when there's issues. A lot of times, and I talk about this too, if you have a guest complaint, you start thinking in your head, oh man, okay, how am I going to solve this? How am I going to solve this? You're not actually listening to the guest. You need to take a second and listen to the guest. What are they asking for? It's okay to take 5 seconds to respond, right? The guest doesn't realize that, but in your head, 5 seconds feels like 5 minutes when you're dealing with a guest. Yeah. And so we really find the solution to the issue. And then we find the solution, and then there's a follow-up. Follow-up is key with guest resolution, right? So you have to follow up 5-10 minutes. Hi, this is Matthew at the front desk. How do you like your new room? Is everything great? Take another step further. Write a personalized card at turndown. This is Matthew at the front desk. That's how you get TripAdvisor reviews, right? Using your guest name, writing letters, creating personalized experience that they know that this front desk agent, this server, this gentleman, whoever really cares. And it's those little details, and it takes 5 minutes out of our day, but you find the solution to them. A lot of times you don't have to give monetary back. It's creating that experience for them and showing that genuine.
But what happens with that room, the room that they moved from? What do you do with that room?
Oh, so if it's an engineering defect, it's out of service, right? So you go in there, and if it's if the faucet was not running at temp, or the shower was leaking, it's out of service, right? We don't sell a room unless it's to our standards. And right. It slipped through.
The biggest problem, again, as you know, is in hotels that aren't number one, is they do the room change, they take care of the guests, but they forget the guest just changed the room because there was a hole in the blackout and they couldn't sleep last night. Yeah. And then we just leave it alone. And then the next guest, who maybe doesn't care about the blackout, because I actually sleep with my blackouts open, but the guest that cares about it, maybe the fourth or fifth guest, and you're not tracking it. So in our industry, we solve problems. We don't prevent them. And the reason you're number one is because you prevent problems.
You're exactly right. You have to be ahead of the problems, because if you look past a problem, it just snowballs. It continues to snowball, and that problem becomes even a bigger issue. So if you catch that blackout rip on the first time and it's fixed, then you move forward on that, and you go on to the next thing that you can do. And that's, again, one of the fun parts of our job, is solving those issues before they become bigger.
Yeah, absolutely right. Anthony, we're just about out of time, but
yes, sir.
Before we wrap up, Matthew, how about giving us one piece of advice for general managers out there that are striving to be number one in their area, but maybe just haven't taken some of the approaches you have with your staff? What's a good first step to kind of change it to the way you like to see business done?
Don't take yourself too seriously, right? So you need to create an environment that your team knows who you are. You create an experience for them, and they all have a common goal each and every day that you live it. And it starts with you. Yep.
Excellent. Beautiful. Perry.
Well, you know what? It's a lot of pride that goes into that. And as a fellow hotelier and GM, congratulations. And listen, it's the way you wake up in the morning. You couldn't do it any other way. If you were running a Frankfurter stand, you would be the same way.
Yeah.
Matthew, I got one more question for you before you go. Because you're working at a really, really high level. And I know Anthony and I are running around all the time, and it's tiring. How do you take care of yourself so you continue to be the best you and not work at a physical and emotional deficit?
It's super mental health, and your body is super important, right? I'm a family guy. So as soon as I get with my family, I kind of, it dissolves, right? I'm able to shut it off. I know that if you focus, and stress does no good for anyone. And I talk about that a lot too. Stress clogs your mind. So if stress is good in some, but it's intensity that you need to focus on.
Right.
So I tried not to stress. I look at the solution. I look at the issue, and I find a solution to it with our teams. And that's how I can really know that we will get through this.
Right.
We work in an amazing industry, right? We're creating experience for our guests. That's fun. So don't take it that serious and create wonderful experiences for our guests.
But I don't want to end this without saying this.
Yeah.
And again, said a million times on the show. The reason you're number one, the reason you love your job, the reason the employees love working there is because you have great owners. With crappy owners, you could not do this. So let's hear it for the owners too.
I 100%, you know, when we won number one hotel, I got a phone call 5 minutes later and said, how are we going to celebrate with our employees? And it's their employees, right? And it's just a testament to the support that we have from our ownership, and I'm thankful every day for them. And
because if you're battling with them every day, you can't hide that. You can
You're
fake
exactly
it
right.
for a minute, but you can't hide it. You know, and it's you know, sometimes you have stressful, you know, P&L calls. And what's the word that we hate in our industry more than anything? The famous little words that get you in trouble.
Cash call.
Cash call.
I'm learning.
If you use the words cash call, your next words out of your mouth is going to be, "You want fries with that?"
Exactly. You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Matthew, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you.
It was truly a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and I just love talking about my team. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Awesome. And we love talking about people that are doing excellent in our business. And we're going to try to focus on a lot more empowerment as we continue to go forward, right?
So, yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Make sure you download the audio version of our podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Google, wherever you get your shows. In fact, we've had more than 5,000 audio downloads today, and it's only 12:37 right now. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at
What? We have 5,000 audio downloads today?
Yeah. Not bad,
Are you
right?
kidding me?
It's a good day. Yeah. It's a good day.
Yeah, but when people when I tell that to people don't believe me.
No, it's too bad on them.
David Malilly, you listening, David Malilly?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Remember, we got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see y'all next week.